Alright, I've been slacking, so let's get crack-a-lackin'. Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Crystal and this is Books Forever After, where we talk about everything and all things books and nothing but the books. Okay, so here's my top 10 favorite historical romances of 2023. Crystal, it's almost halfway through 2024. Why the delay? Well, as every excuse is, I get behind and no motivation and life gets in the way, and as you know, I'm a corporate girly, and this full-time working mama just doesn't get the time, and it interferes with my reading time sometimes. But that's okay, guys, that's okay. Well, we have the historical romance readathon, and as promised, I'm bringing some content. I'm so excited to talk about more historical romances and all the films, all the videos that I'm wanting to film. So we're gonna be rolling right through those for the next couple of weeks. So we'll see how we do. Okay, we'll see how we do. Well, with enough of the excuses, I am so excited to talk about these books. I don't know if you recall, if you're new here, but my goal has been to read, because I put my Goodreads goal at like 100 books a year. My goal is usually 100 books a year on the Goodreads goal. And one of my reading challenges last year was to read 50 books. Now, I didn't get to 50 books, but I did get to 36. And so these books were the top 10 from those 36 books I read last year. So yeah. This year, I'm probably gonna, I never really had a chance to go over my goals. I'll probably do like a mid-year check-in. But yeah, I'm gonna maintain that goal this year as well to get 50. It's just a nice thing just to ensure that, you know, being a Gemini, I am loving romantasy and historical romance. Those are like my two genres that I love. We'll throw in a little bit of, you know, paranormal and months of romances and contemporary a little bit in there. But those are like my primary like bulk of my reading, and that ebbs and flows throughout the year. All right, with that all the way, let's just get started on our top 10. We're gonna go, I will make some timestamps down below. We're gonna start from number 10 all the way to number 1. So the first one I want to talk about, and I read this during the romance readathon hosted by Maggie from Maggie's Book and Stuff, who's also co-hosting with me with the Ever After Readathon that's going on now through May 31st. And that is The Countess by Lindsay Sands. Now, this is my first time reading this author, and this was so much fun. The chick's song, Earl Had to Die, was embodied in a historical romance. This would be it. This is just amazing. And so much fun. The banter was peak there. So great. So it kind of follows the same kind of scenario on the song. She's married to an earl, and he finds there he dies. So get it, Earl has to die. So yeah, I just love the buttons. He's found deceased in the library, the chair, and they panic. And so her sisters show up and to go and put him on ice. It's a very comical kind of situation. Lo and behold, finds out that her husband has a twin, and he shows up, and they know he's the real Earl. So this ensued so many shenanigans. To be honest, I really didn't feel the chemistry as much, so that was the only thing that wouldn't make it like a top like 6-star book for me. But it was so much fun, just so much fun to enjoy, and there was a great spicy scenes in here. I just think the chemistry with them was just a little smidge not to my preference. Alright, coming at number 9 is Devil's Bride by Stephanie Lawrence. This is book 1 in the, oh gosh, what is it called? Oh my gosh, why can't I think? The Scenster family. So if you love Bridgerton and you want to follow a family, the Cencers are probably weird out. I don't think they have the same banter as like that family. This is more like a dark romance noir kind of style of novels, and I only read this first book in this whole series, so I'm planning on wanting to reread this. I have since gotten quite a bit of the novels in this series from various book sales and through ordering from online. And this is the step back, so it's just gorgeous. I don't know if I saw the step back for the other one, but this is the step back for the Countess. But yeah, this is just has a back step back. It's gorgeous. Dark romance, broody hero, loved him. They encounter each other while she's traveling. I think she's like a governess, so she's and she has left the employment of the governess, and I can't remember, it's been a while since I read it, but encounters the hero. They end up having to be stranded into this cottage for a time, and they do encounter a murder, and then they kind of take refuge during a storm in this cabin after all that kind of discovered. But because of that, she's basically ruined, and so he's forced to marry her. Such a very intriguing plot. I think I kind of guessed who the bad guy was. It was a little bit, I don't think it was that much of a surprise. So this one was actually a 4-star for me, but as I mentioned, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, Lindsay says this one's actually 4-star. So I didn't have too many 5 stars this last year in historical romances. So these are the creme de la creme that I really enjoyed. So, but this one was 4-star. Really enjoyed it. I wonder if I will enjoy it better than the second time around when I want to read this for the Spencer novels. But such a great atmospheric, dark historical romance that I really solid read, and I recommend. Next, I have A Gentle Rogue by Johanna Lindsey. This was part of the read-along that I did with April last year. We had our initiative when we first started what is now our Mood Readers book club this year. And we were doing a read-along of Johanna Lindsey's This Valley Anderson series. I think we skipped the 6th book, which was the Christmas book, and then we did some more. And I think we made it to like book 8 or 9, and it just went downhill from there. I truly think that this one and one other one was actually truly the best ones of them. So I think Gentle Rogue and A Loving Scoundrel was really my favorite out of this one. This one was just a peak fun adventure. The romance isn't really prevalent, so there's a lot of action, a lot of banter, a lot of and this is also a bodice ripper type of book. And of course, it's a pirate romance. So this has a heroine that disguises herself as a cabin boy onto James Mallory's ship. He's like a privateer, kind of like a reformed pirate, and things ensue from there. So he knows that she is a pirate, so it kind of goes that whole shenanigans and pretending that to see how far she's gonna take it until she finally, and doing all the kind of embarrassing her in those kind of situations. A lot of fun. The only thing I really didn't like, the naivete of the heroine in regards to the relations. The one relation scenes felt kind of very condescending and put the heroine as a childlike kind of structure. However, this is one of those standard, well-known and well-loved books by Johanna Lindsey, and she's actually the first historical author that I first read and started my love of historical romance. It's just upon reread years later, it just didn't hold up to me as much as I loved, or that I had a nostalgia on. But it's still a lot of fun. It was still 5 stars. It was just that smidge thing that didn't make it as a perfect 6-star book for me. Next, I have The Madness of Viscount Atherborn by Lisa Braden. I read this in December, and I have checked this out from the Libby app, and I had tried to read, I forget what book, I will put a picture up here. It's this is an indie author, and she has done this Highlander series, and I just wasn't really a fan of it because it had a little bit of weird magical realism involved in it regarding is the woman mad and that kind of a situation. It's she's seeing people, and it was just the writing just was throwing me off because you're just kind of thrown in there and things aren't explained. So I only made it partially for the first part and DNF'd. However, this one is a revenge story. The hero, to get revenge against this duke, he compromises the duke's sister at a ball on purpose, and where she is forced to marry him. So that was the revenge, is to marry him. This is a very dark, like a dark historical romance, and it's like a toxic historical romance, which I don't like the feeling that it evoked, which is not very common in historical romance. You see that a lot in contemporary, but I actually enjoyed it. It was the hero was really dark and broody and just grumpy, and it played really well, and the heroine was smart and just, you know, strong, but still just kind of navigating through this whole situation, and within, you know, the limitations of her being held to this, you know, things against her, with society against her, you know, as women are in this time. So didn't explain that very well, but it was just so good. So that was kind of like my second chance with this author, so I would love to continue on with the series. And I think the last book, and I don't know if I need to read this series, these books in order, because the last book is actually part of my 12 Recs by 12 Friends for this year that I want to read. So I'm interested in seeing how I need to go about doing that. So let me know if I need to read these in order, if I can just read that last book first. But yeah, because I always have to read things in order. So I don't know if I'm going to miss something, if it makes sense. Most of the time historical romance can be read standalone, but there's sometimes where it does happen that you'll get more out of it if you actually read it in order. So yeah, really interested in that, really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend. Next is A Loving Scoundrel by Joanne Lindsey. So this is book 8, I want to say, of the Mally Anderson series, and I got this at a half-price store. Not my best step back that you can definitely tell it's like from the 90s, and I started taking photos and kind of stopped doing like a lot of the art things, so it's very kind of like a basic step back, but we still get a step back, so can't really sneeze at that. This has been one of my, this was a reread. I had read this multiple times when I was younger, and this time it really tugged at my heart even more. The heroine is orphaned on the streets. She loses her memory. Her family is attacked, and she is with her nurse, and her nurse passes away from her in the alley from her injuries, and the girl wakes up and is alone. She has amnesia, and she's only, I think, like 8 years old or so. Comes across another girl on the street, and that girl takes her in, and the girl had a wise decision to kind of make sure that Danny, her name is Danny, to disguise her as a boy. And so she lives her life as a boy, because in this street gang that she joins, they have to steal from each other, they're pickpockets. The boys are forced to do that, and the girls are forced to do that until they reach a certain age when they're forced to turn to prostitution. So it's such a great book. She encounters the hero by trying to steal from him, and he's actually looking for a thief because he needs to get into someone's house, and finds out that she's connected somehow to that person's house. But the main thing in this is the very touching moment at the end. I don't want to spoil it. Is when she is reunited with a family member, and her identity is identified as someone part of a family. Oh my gosh, it had a really big parallel with my own personal relationship that has happened, and that's something that didn't actually happen. So to see it here actually happen and have that reunion was very touching, and it was just something that, like, for me, it was like I would say a trigger, but like something very it was a little triggering, but it was just a emotional release kind of a situation of experiencing that. So always love this. This is like a 6-star, and I will always love this book. I think you can actually read this one out of the order of the Mallory Anderson series. That's I think what I first did, and then upon reread, I think this stands alone. You can read this by itself, but it's just so great. Danny's great. There's humor, there's banter between the household and between her and Jeremy, and it's just so touching. And I love this book. Love this book to pieces. Next is Do You Want to Start a Scandal? I read this as part of the Tessa Dare Summer Read Along that was hosted by B and Rachel Reads and Sings and Ava Reads Romance and Tip Talk Pages. And I pretty much majority of Tessa Dare's books, I know she's well known and well loved author. There's a reason, I tell you. This author can write emotional, impactful, swoony romance and then at the same time make you want to cry, make you swoon. The romantic element of it is there. Those relationships, the banter, the comedy, and then at the same time the spicy scenes are spicy. And she's like the author. And so I have a couple of those from her. So this first one is Do You Want to Start a Scandal? Love this one. This one is like a spy romance. I can't remember exactly, but this was like 5 stars. The series you want to read. So this is like I think part of the Spindle Cove series and kind of like a spin-off of that. So you need to read those ones in order. Highly recommend. So good. The hero was the perfect amount of like reserved, closed off hero. It's just my favorite type of hero. Mysterious, but very deep and naturally sensual, and it's just amazing. I think in that one they actually are caught as suspected as doing something in the library, as having a encounter, and overheard that they are doing, having relations, but in turn it actually was another couple, and they were hiding behind the curtain so they couldn't see who it was. So like all the hijinks that ensue from there. So yeah, it was just great. Next is A Week to Be Wicked by Tessa Dare. The hero Colin, again, emotional, amazing. Minerva is just the like epitome of a blue stocking heroine. Loved her. This is like a travel journey of romance in a carriage, and they have all these hijinks and just traveling on, pretending to be a couple and then also pretending to be brother and sister. It was just hilarious because the hijinks there is just amazing. So yes, it was great. Love this book so much. I'm poorly explaining the premise, but it's just so good. I can't even remember. My memory deceives me, but it was just all the details. There's so much stuff that happens. It's so great, and I definitely highly recommend. Next is Any Duchess Will Do by Tessa Dare. So we're getting to the top 3 territory. These are the top 3. That's Any Duchess Will Do by Tessa Dare. I had actually got this from Books A Million, I think a while back, when I was going back into reading. I had never read this author before. And I had read the Girl Meets Duke series first and fell in love with those. So definitely love those. I read those a couple of years ago. And I think they were actually doing this during the read along, but I had just read those, so I didn't want to reread them. So those are awesome as well. This one has got to be honest, my favorite Tessa Dare book ever. Just ever. When I say a Tessa Dare book, when anything that she embodies, the emotional, swoony romance, the banter, comedy, just that impact, this is the example, the prime example. This is a My Fair Lady kind of retelling inspiration, and so what happens is the relationship between him and his mom is just great. It's one of those very touching, emotional moment that's actually starts really funny. Funny and reserved. So he's getting pressured by his mother to get a wife and to get married. And she brings him to Spindle Cove, and she's like, here, pick any lady in here, and I will, whatever your choice, I will make her into a duchess. And so, to spite his mom, he chooses the barmaid that is there, and she has to do all these Duchess lessons, and he actually gets a little bit of an agreement between her on like, hey, if you try to basically fail and whatever, you know, I'll give you some money, some cash, and to help that. And that's great because she wants to open up her own bookshop. So it turns out awesome. Her sister has a development delay, and the relationship, I just love the poignant sister relationship in here, and anything like that in a book, because I'm really close with my sisters as well, so I really appreciate that, and that is such a loving relationship in here as well. This hero, you find he has a cameo in A Week to Be Wicked, and he is just not it, and he has such the greatest, like a great redemption arc in here. Such, like I said, that hero that has something actually real and mysterious, you don't know about it, but it's very deep and that he's dealing with, that you learn about when he put off this facade. So it's just amazing. I love it. 6 stars. All right, number 2, The Day of the Duchess. Now, if you are attending the Ever After Readathon, this is one of my selections for as my top fave, like, of all time. 6 stars. Absolutely love it. This is like the 3rd book in the series, and just love it. Second chance. The hero has this redemption arc. He grovels wonderfully, and they are not together. I'll show you the step back here. It's like the gorgeous step back. I have just gotten this book for my birthday, so too as well. So it's just great. But so the heroine attends this parliament session where her husband is at, and she is attending there to request, which is unheard of to have a woman there, to seek a divorce. They have a discussion back in the office after all that benoogling, and come to agreement that I will grant you your divorce if you find your replacement. And so she does. She hosts a party. She invites some eligible ladies that she knows will be great wives, and her sister also come along for her support, which is another thing. It's just, you know, that sister relationship I just love. And this has been 2 years since they have been they have been estranged, and through all that time he has been searching for her and trying to find where she went. She just like disappeared after their big argument and disagreement over this big betrayal that he felt, and then this whole thing that had happened, and his betrayal for her, his retaliation to that, where he cheated on her. That all takes place in like book 1. You can see a snippet of that part. Oh my gosh, it was just, the grovel in here was just so amazing, and this is why I love Second Chance, is like that connection to where something that separated them, that these two belong to each other, but because of circumstances or whatever, the struggles or the disagreements that they had, or the communication problem they had, where feelings were hurt, that they refused to talk to each other over big issues, and they find their way back to each other. It's amazing. So amazing. This is such a great book, very well written, has, again, banter, comedy, but it's very swoony, and this is such a romantic book. So definitely 6 stars, highly recommend. Lastly, again, with the Ever After Readathon, basically this is my most favorite dark historical romance ever, which is no surprise, and I think it's a lot of people's favorite, and that is The Highwayman by Kerrigan Byrne. First off, this clinch cover, gorgeous. Kerrigan Byrne can write, there's something about her writing with dark historical romance, this noir historical romance, that I just love her writing. And this one is just like, the tension is like, you could just hear a pin drop in the room. The bathtub scene here takes on for like a couple of chapters, but oh my gosh, it is not boring at all. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So in what happens here, I think his name is, I think her first love is Dugan or whatever. They're childhood sweethearts, and what happens is, through circumstances, he goes and is stuck in this prison as a child, and what happens is Dugan passes away and is hurt. But he's a part of this brotherhood. He gets this band of friends. And then what happens is one of his best friends, I think, is it Declan? Dorian, sorry. Blackheart, a bit more. So the Blackheart brothers. So Dorian survives. And so he comes back. Through that time, she did, I think, have like a marriage with with Dugan. And so they were like, I think he did it to like help save her, or because they gave her some sort of protection, whatever. Anywho, so now she's a widow. And she has grown up 10 years later, or whatever it is. And she is in, I think, New York, and working as, I wouldn't say like a detective, but working as a secretary she's working in a police, she's working with the police, the Scotland Yard. So criminals that come across that is interviewed is Dorian, and through that time that their experience, oh my gosh, the like interaction there with like a lot of tension. Like, he's a bad boy, he's dangerous, and then he kidnaps her, and oh my gosh, it's so great. Like, the train scene in here was great. He takes her off into this Scotland, this gothic castle in Scotland. Oh my gosh, it got elements of a gothic romance. Oh my gosh, it's so great. And he has this like grumpy scar. He's a scarred hero. He has this thing with his hands that from trauma, and the epitome noir historical romance. And the tension between these two, the love that develops in here, the drama that unfolds in this plot, and then the action plot of all of this, because of, you know, he's basically like a mafia boss, but in historical romance. Dude, it's amazing, and I just love this. So great. Highly recommend. If you haven't read this, you just absolutely need to. It's so great. That is all the books I'm talking about today. My top 10 historical romances of 2023. I am so excited for this readathon. I hope you are too. And I will definitely have my top 10 romantasy coming here soon as well. I know it's a little bit off topic with the historical romance, but I definitely have a lot more content coming. I'm going to be doing a book haul because, you know, my birthday coming soon, and then we'll have live shows and everything. As always, I'll have everything on my social media down below, my Goodreads, my Instagram, and my Amazon wishlist. And as always, I thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.